At some point or another, we're all gonna go through a breakup, possibly even go through a divorce. And no matter the circumstances, whether you have left a relationship or someone has actually dumped you or left you, I feel like a glow up is almost necessary. In this video, I want to talk about some of the things that I actually did when I was going through my divorce that gave me my own personal glow up. Part of this glow up phase that you might be in could possibly have started with maybe your ego, where you just wanted to kind of like show someone that they didn't break you. Another huge part is probably just having gone through a really traumatic experience, probably a little unhealthy relationship. Maybe you had some narcissistic abuse in there, maybe you had some emotional abuse, whatever the case may be. There's probably just a part of you that feels as though you lost yourself in that relationship a little bit, and you want to, we always say, I want to get back to me. I want to get back to who I used to be. And that's not the phrase that I like to use. I want to be a better version than who I used to be, because obviously who I used to be attracted that relationship into my life. So the glow up for me had to do with a couple of different things. It had to do with learning how to be really healthy, both physically and mentally and emotionally, and also learning how to have real good confidence. The glow up that you're going through right now is really just a transformation, and it's not just about losing weight or working on dyeing your hair blonde or whatever it is. It's not just about like the physical, it's about the emotional, it's about the mental, it's about learning how to be really solid and healthy, and learning how to really have that self-love that you're always hearing about. So when I think of a glow up, I just think of a transformation, and transformation is something that you become. And it's new sets of habits. It's a new way of looking at life. It's a new mentality. It's not just about getting a whole new wardrobe and buying yourself a brand new designer bag or any of those kind of things. But by all means, you could very well do those things as well. And sometimes they're necessary and you deserve it. But this is about all aspects of your inner self. So we don't want to go so far off of who we used to be. We just want to add more healthiness to that version of ourselves, a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of motivation, of self-empowerment. Those are kind of the things when I think of like sparkle, I want to sprinkle a little bit of that on. So I want to think about that version of myself that I used to be before that relationship. If I can look at that version of myself at this point, and if I can be honest with myself, what is she missing or he missing? What did I need then that I didn't have? And to me, that's the sparkle. That's what you're sprinkling on, is that little bit of stuff that you needed. So for me, I always felt like I was a confident person, but I didn't come from like healthy confidence. So healthy confidence has to do with three different things. It has to do with having really great self-esteem. It has to do with having a lot of self-acceptance, which for me, that's really what I was missing. There were parts that I didn't always accept within myself. There were parts where I would just usually judge myself or shame myself or make myself feel bad. So I didn't accept who I was in all flaws and all, right? In all aspects. And that was the one thing that for me, that I definitely had to work on. And number three is your ability to trust yourself. So did you trust your own judgment? Do you trust what you think? Do you trust how you feel? So that like really deep connection with yourself is important. So you had to have high self-esteem, you had to have a lot of self-acceptance, and you have to be able to trust your own judgment. So if you have those three things, then that really equals healthy self-confidence. So when I was looking at that older version of myself, I realized that there were just a lot of things that were missing. And it doesn't mean that I was flawed, and it doesn't mean that I should feel bad about myself. It was just that there weren't even things, these things weren't even things that I realized that were missing at the time, because I was just going, right? And that's kind of just like the journey of life, is that you're learning as you go, and you're looking back and saying, okay, let me reassess this life, this career, this relationship, myself, what needs to improve, what's missing, what am I lacking, etc. So for me to be really confident, I had to learn to also be very calm. I had to learn how to be independent, but be independent in a healthier way, not a codependent way, and not in this girl boss, I don't really need anyone, I can do everything myself kind of way as well, because both were coming from a wound, both were dysfunctional. So the independent woman in me that I felt I always was it, part of that was healthy, and part of it honestly was a defense mechanism. It was not really trusting other people coming from abandonment wounds, learning how to be independent, but be independent in a healthy way. So go to the gym by myself, learn how to put myself out there by myself, learning how to do things where I didn't always have to have someone with me in order for me to do them, and learning how to let someone else take care of me for a minute, allowing other people in my life to step up to the plate and be there for me, and knowing that I deserved that and that I was worthy of that. I had to learn how to communicate better. I had to learn how to speak to someone else and not get defensive when someone said something that I didn't like. I had to learn how to not try to convince someone of my point and how I felt, and then I needed this person to agree with me. That was incredibly huge towards my own personal glow up, was because, and that's healthy and that's confident. Like, when you can do these things for yourself, you will just naturally exude a level of confidence in you, because you're not coming from this like lack place. You're not coming from, I need you to agree with me, I need you to see me, I need you to validate me, please tell me I'm enough. That kind of stops altogether, because you're giving yourself everything that you need. You're giving yourself the validation. You realize that it's just a habit or an old programming or a defense mechanism, or your ego's getting bruised, where you need someone to agree with you, where you need someone to tell you that what you're thinking and how you're feeling is okay. So if you agree with me, then all is well. I didn't need that anymore. And so when that stuff started to change, when this transformation started to happen, a lot of relationships in my life changed as well. There were either people that had been in my life for a very long time that were no longer in my life. I was reacting differently to what people were saying. So the usual things that someone would say that would trigger me are no longer triggering me. And it became just this practice that I had to hold on to myself during these conversations, hold on to myself when I was going through a difficult time, and learning how to hold on to yourself. And that's really where the self-parenting thing came from. There are just certain things that when you are going through a glow up, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm going to put on the list the obvious. I worked out all the time. I sometimes even worked out twice a day for a multitude of reasons. Either I had time on my hands because I was single, either I was like stressed and I had a lot going on, going through a divorce, either, and in the beginning, it was just trying to get this like energy out of me. I was bored, I was angry, I was frustrated, I was sad. And so all of those things meant that like all I wanted to do was work out. And then when I started getting into the habit of working out, I realized that I actually just wanted to do it for me, and then I felt better after doing it. And then it stopped being about letting out all this anger. It just had to do with just dealing with life in general. And then of course, your body starts changing, and then you become addicted to that. You're like, wow, my jeans fit well, and this doesn't look as saggy as it did before. And so it becomes a really healthy habit that you incorporate into your life. I took a very, very, very good care of myself, and I still do, but during that time, it was just me and my son, and my glow up phase was me being a single mom for the very first time. And being a single mom, you don't always have all the time in the world, as this hair is doing that. You don't always have all the time in the world. You are a parent, and my son was very, very, very little at the time. And so when they're that small, they require even more attention from you. So any time that I had time away from him, that was like my time. I wasn't consumed with getting into a relationship and dating or doing any of those things. Doesn't mean that I didn't, but this was about a period of my life where I was like, okay, this is a period of my life that I am just solely 100% going to dive into me. And so I took a very good care of myself. Manicures and pedicures every single week, facials all the time, chemical peels constantly, massages as often as I could get them, doing acupuncture regularly, working out regularly, meditating every single night before bed, and I mean every single night, listening to affirmations throughout the day, listening to motivational speakers throughout the day. So feeding my mind constantly was another thing that I did all the time. Watching all the makeup tutorials that I could, learning how to make myself look and feel my best. Really, that's what I was trying to do. I wasn't going to chop all my hair off and dye it platinum blonde. Nope, this is me. This is kind of the way I've always lived. But again, I just wanted to like up my game. I was not going to go out there and go shopping and buy all the trendy clothes. That's just not me. I'm a casual gal, but I invested in really good pieces. I treated myself to really good pieces. Now, this doesn't have to do with money and going out there and blowing everything you have on this like designer bag or anything like that. Do whatever you can with what you have. So if you can't do manicures and pedicures, you can do them at home and give that to yourself. There's so many options nowadays. I mean, I don't even go get my nails done anymore because I just would rather be home and quite frankly just do it myself. But it's not about going out and spending all this money. It's just about taking the time to invest in yourself. So that's what I meant when I said I took very good care of myself. I bought myself flowers every single week when I did my grocery shopping. They were always on my kitchen table, my dining room table, every single week. I just remember really making a conscious effort to slow down. And I'll tell you, I even recently, most of the clients that I've had recently have kind of said the same thing. They're like, really, the game changer for me has been just slowing down. Because your ability to slow down when you're going through this transformation, when you're going through this transition, it will allow you to do something different. It'll allow you to actually decide what you want to think. What do you want to do? What works best for me? How do I feel about that? And that's self-love, that's self-care, that's mental health, is you slowing down so you can actually make decisions on what you should be doing that is going to help you to take the best care of yourself. Allowing myself to grieve was really important, not judging myself for why do I still feel this way. That's something that, and I tell all you guys, I tell my clients, I tell everyone, do not judge yourself for feeling the way you feel, because number one, it's not going to help you to not feel that way. And all it's going to do is give you some shame, and you're just going to end up feeling bad for feeling the way that you do. And that doesn't help you to soothe the feeling and move through it in a healthy way. It's just going to keep the feeling stuck inside of you. So I really allowed myself to grieve. And I allowed myself to get angry. But I didn't stay stuck there. And that was the difference, is I think before, that older version of myself at times would have just either not really felt what I needed to feel, or would have pushed through it a little quicker than I probably should have, pushed it under the rug. It is what it is type of mentality. Whereas now I was just allowing myself to go there. I also didn't stretch myself. And this was a big part of my own personal self-care. And because think about it, the glow up is about you being like the best version of yourself. And for me, at this point in my life, I had so much stress going on. And if you're going through a breakup or a divorce, or if you're a newly single parent, guess what? You're under stress. Whether you want to just zen as much as you can, it is just inevitable. You are going through change, you are going through transition, you are going through a lot of unknowns, and it can be scary at times. And you're grieving and you're mourning, and now top on that, like some narcissistic abuse, some emotional abuse, some like revelations that you're having, and you're going through this awakening process. I mean, like, it is a process to go through all of this. It is not easy at all. So I didn't want to add any more stress into my life by trying to be Mommy of the Year, Mary Poppins, Susie Homemaker, trying to put so much pressure on myself to do this, this, and this. So I just really made it a point to do things that worked for me. And I'll tell you, when you incorporate all those things, you start to feel happy, because there's like these weights that just get lifted off of you, where life starts feeling a little bit more manageable, and you don't end up having that breakdown that a lot of people can have. I also didn't really wait for life to happen to me. If I wanted to go see this artist that was coming to town and there was a concert, in the city, I was looking into it. And I was, asking whoever wanted to go. You guys want to go? Let's go. I didn't get offended when someone said no. I asked as many people as I could because it wasn't about, oh, I just want them to go, or I feel awkward asking this new person that I know if they want to go to the show with me. I didn't care because I wanted to have a good time with whoever wanted to come. And I knew if someone wanted to come that they were going to be good energy and that we'd have a great time. And even if they didn't have a great time, that I was going to have fun regardless of what was going on. I did that for trips, I did it for shows, I did it for sporting events, I did it for my own birthday. I didn't wait for people to plan my birthday for me. When you're coming out of a relationship, long-term relationship, a marriage, there were years where someone probably took the reins, you know? Someone planned your birthday, someone made you feel special, and now there's no one there but you, and now it's your job to make you feel special. So I planned all my birthday parties, and my birthday's in January. Go Capricorns. But the dead of winter here in New England, which means snow, which means blizzards sometimes, and the birthdays that I had the most fun were the ones that we were knee deep in snow, literally blizzards outside, and I still had people show up for me because they wanted to. And that was it. Those were like the best birthdays because I didn't have an expectation. I knew that regardless, I was going to have a good time, and I ended up having a great time. So those were just like a little bit of the things that I started doing during my glow up, whether it was like working on my mental health, working on my emotional health, physically getting myself together, investing in myself, staying present, slowing down. As you can see, all of these things are not just like, okay, we're going to do all of them. It's just you're starting to learn little by little how to just like live for today, slow yourself down, and balance that with setting some goals for yourself and planning for your future. And then, of course, when we're talking about glow up, I wasn't really in the market for a relationship. I was just working on myself, trying to have a good time, trying to just be in the moment. But of course, there were like the lonely Tuesday nights. Of course, my ex had moved on during my marriage, having to like work through all of those things. Again, if you're going through a breakup or a divorce and there's cheating involved or betrayals or lying or any of those things, I mean, heck, just narcissistic abuse in general, having to like heal and go through that process, it is a lot. So I wasn't really in the market for a relationship right away. I had way too many things going on. I needed to have my own reset, period. And I've always been like that. I've always, after every relationship, needed that pause, that pause minute where I could kind of, get back to me in that way. But I did think about relationships and learning what I deserve and what I want next time around and all of that stuff. Again, it really helped me to work on my self-esteem, work through all the fears that I had that maybe it didn't exist, or what if it wasn't out there, or what if I just never find it, like all of those assumptions or limiting beliefs that I had, and having to work through all of that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I did a lot during my glow up phase, and honestly, it really changed my life in the most beautiful way. So there's a lot of beauty and a lot of great stuff that can come from a really crappy experience if you really take the time to invest in yourself. So I hope this gave you some help in any way, or it gave you some motivation, or it helped to empower you if you are in the start of your glow up phase, or if you're like knee deep in the thick of it and you're having a great old time. I hope I was able to kind of inspire you. So if you guys have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please don't forget to subscribe down below, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.